Hello and welcome to another episode of The Second Coming. I'm here with Brother T, and I'm your host, Jason Keaton. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Brother T, how was your week?
It was good. It's been very good. I've getting ready to take some travel plans. I've got some travel plans maybe coming up soon, and been doing some work on my vehicle, which is my coach. It's a Class A motor coach. I live in that now, and I'm taking me on the road. I'm hoping to go a little bit north, maybe come up to visit you, Jason, in the near future, and also planning to take some trips south as the weather starts getting colder. But anyway, it's been exciting, but just doing some final preparations and doing some mechanical work to make sure it's going to be a fortuitous journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I did a little RV life for a year, several years back now, but the freedom that you have with that is a pretty amazing experience. And the simplicity of life becomes enjoyable. And so congratulations on that, and I look forward to that little road trip. I'm gonna, I think, fly down and drive up with you. Maybe we can
Yeah, me too.
get some GoPro windshield podcasts going there. So
Yeah.
that I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. That'll be fun for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a subject I want to talk about today is something I struggled with and is personal to me, in what I believe kind of led to my disease, my cancer that got away from me. This was back about 8 years ago now, but I want to talk about the problem with holding on to anger or holding on to resentment, and um, and what that path of forgiveness looks like. And it wasn't until I was able to forgive that I was able to release that anger and really start to heal my body and heal myself. And I want you to talk. I guess my question is going to be, kind of, we go through things in our lives where there's extreme disappointment and anger. I'm going to use my example of divorce, for example, and betrayal, and going on. And I want you to talk about forgiveness and the path, and maybe if you want to get into, the different aspects of how that affects the human body, but mostly the spiritual path of forgiveness.
Okay, let's jump in. Before we begin, let's take a good deep breath and turn within. We welcome the host of angels, guides, teachers, mentors, and family. Thank you for joining us in our conversation. So as they fill the space where we are, we say thank you, thank you, thank you, Mother, Father, God. And so it is. The easy answer to that question is, what mind are you seeing the world through? Okay. So our purpose here, our spirit given purpose, our soul given purpose, is to wake up. Wake up from what? From listening to, being hypnotized by, and being hoodwinked by your own, what you believe to be your own thoughts. They are the thoughts of a construct that we have collectively created or made. It's a temporary construct. It's a thought system called the egoic thought system, is how we refer to it. And it's a thought system of fear. And whenever you are giving your awareness and attention to that thought system, your ego, it's artificial intelligence, and you're letting it decide for you who you be. You're being as someone who believes and is committed to the idea that they're separated from love. They're separated from God. They're separated from everything. And this construct of self develops these, I'm going to say, idealized ideas of the way the world is supposed to be for it. It's at the very center of the universe. It's separate from everything, and it values itself based on how other people treat it. Okay? It's not well, it's not healthy, and it's not really who you are. But it's very convincing in its presentation. This other self that is the real you lives within your heart at the very center of your being. And when you remove the obstacles to that self through practice and through education and learning about yourself spiritually, then you don't get so easily trapped. But it doesn't mean that you don't get trapped. We still get trapped by that egoic self. So the way to get past all of those vibrational constructs, which are constructs of fear, and this, what you were describing are the lowest levels of consciousness. Dr. David Hawkins, MD, PhD, he wrote a book and published it back in the 1996, I think it was, called Power versus Force. The first time I read that book, Jason, I set it down and I don't even understand what I just read. It was way over my head. Okay. Because he was a psychologist, and he was talking about his experience of spiritual awakening a couple of times in his life, different times in his life. But he was using kinesiology to calibrate levels of consciousness and created a map of consciousness that's in that book. And when I teach levels of consciousness, I rely back on his work, pretty much to help explain, because he did a brilliant job of helping us to see a roadmap to higher consciousness. And so when we're looking at the levels of fear, the levels of anger, the levels of jealousy, the levels of attack, shame, feeling betrayed, all of those constructs, all those vibrational fields, those are thoughts. Thoughts are things, and they have a vibration. And all of those types of thoughts have a very low, self-destructive vibration. And we can't literally live there very long. In fact, we don't want to live at all. I had an experience not so long ago of just not even wanting to be on the planet anymore. I went through an experience of feeling betrayed. I went through an experience of feeling separated from I had an expectation. I'm going to call it an unrealistic expectation. And that's what the ego does. It creates these visions of the future, and they're unrealistic, because the truth is, even the animals and the grass and the plants and the sea creatures and you, everyone has free will. But the ego is so self-centered, and so, I'll use the term narcissistic. It thinks it's the only one of any value on the planet. And it has these unrealistic expectations of how other people are supposed to be to it and treat it and be with it and so forth. What love is supposed to be like. All of those are constructs of a mind that is not well. Literally, it never will be well. It's useful, but it's a poor servant. And so, in my hour of need, again, referring to my situation, I felt like Spirit had deserted me, that I had been forsaken. There wasn't any connection going on. But I was the one blocking it, because I had dove really deep down into the construct of the ego, and it was having its way with me. It really was. And I was hating myself and hating my life, and hating, which is just a state of consciousness where love is not being allowed to be involved in what you're thinking and your process. And so I literally said, "Where are you? Why have you forsaken me?" I mean, I was miserable, but I made a connection. And I said, "I got to get out of here." And so I'm going to go get something to eat. So I just jumped in my car, and I got about a mile down the road, and suddenly Spirit came in and began to correct my perception. And within another 10 minutes, I was just crying and laughing hysterically because I realized that I was living in paradise, that there was nothing to be afraid of. Like Jesus said, I cannot be betrayed. We cannot be betrayed. Those are constructs of a mind that's not well. And I'm not saying that we need to give it some medicine and do something to it. I'm saying we can say, "Get thee behind me. I'm not listening to those thoughts. I'm going to connect with Spirit, and I'm going to operate from a place of realistic expectations." And what is that? I can have a realistic expectation when I allow Spirit to be the glasses that I put on, the way that I see the world. If I see the world through the vision of Christ, everything is healed, everything is blessed, and everything is perfect. And I can let other people have their free will with no expectation when I give them love that they have to give me any type of return whatsoever, because I'm operating as Christ in perfect safety. That's how you get through things, is to stay focused and giving your attention and awareness to the voice of truth. That's the answer, Jason. It's not so easy, but if we know we have the choice, at least we know we have the choice.
Those are so our deepest, darkest hours are when you're experiencing those. It's hard to see. It's hard to see and hard to let Spirit in. What were some tools that looking back, that you could pass on if you found, if you ran into a friend that was going through an experience, or somebody was just like vehemently, upset or in despair, feeling like they have been abandoned by Spirit? What are some tools that you would recommend? Something that somebody can do today, to do this hour, do as they're, seeking, seeking Spirit.
Well, if you don't have at least a modicum of spiritual education, almost anything you might advise somebody of is they're going to see it through the prism of a fearful mind. And it's not going to make sense to them because the ego cannot understand love. It cannot understand God. It cannot understand your soul. And it doesn't understand what the vision of Christ is. You cannot get the ego to understand that. So we have to work with people where they are, right? And if someone is coming from a place of deep pain and suffering because of something that's going on in their life, we do then what we do all the time once we have that spiritual connection, once we have a spiritual education, once we have done some work and have come to understand ourselves, that we have a choice in who and how we're being. It's a choice. But people don't see it if they don't know the choice exists. And so they're trapped by the fearful mind. And it is very punishing. It is crucifying us, all right? We crucify ourselves with these thoughts that are made up, and they're illusory thoughts. Everybody has a right to be here. Everybody has free will that they were given by the grace of God. And who are we to demand other people to not have free will? And if they exercise their free will, that's hurting us. I mean, I can apply reason in a conversation if I'm coming from a place of being educated and having an understanding of how things really work, not the way the ego thinks they work. But failing that, right, I'm going to do the same thing in every case, which is I'm going to take a good deep breath, because if I'm going to be the agent of change, and if I'm going to be healing for somebody, if I'm going to help somebody experience a miracle, and what is a miracle, by the way? It's a shift of perception. The story I told you about my hour of self-crucifixion, I had a sudden shift of perception. That's a miracle because Spirit came in and intervened in my reasoning, in my mind, and helped me to see things in a way because I had done spiritual work, because I had some spiritual underpinning of philosophy and principles that I could listen and understand, and the reasoning was there. And I had an experience of a miracle. And just like that, I went from suffering to being ecstatic, just like that. But I can't do that for somebody else, but I can be the agent of change by doing it in every situation, by taking a good deep breath, connecting. Are you there? Of course you are. And then feeling that connection wash over me. And then just being with whoever I'm being. It's a little bit like holding vigil for somebody. I don't have to say anything or do anything. I can just be present to their need. They're feeling like they've been betrayed, or they're feeling whatever they're feeling, but what are they really feeling? That they're not loved. They're crying for love. And how can I help somebody that's crying for love? By being an agent of love. I can say, you know what? I can understand how you feel. I get it. And I just want you
I
to know
love
that I'm
that.
right here with you, and I'm going to hold a vigil for you. I'm going to hold love for you. And I want you to know that I love you. And I know the truth that
I
this also shall pass. This is going to pass. And whatever you're feeling right now has no power over you except what you're giving it. And I just want you to know I'm here for you. And if I can help you in any way, I love you and I'll be here for you. And so that's what we can do. And we can do that from any level that we believe we are at in our conscious journey of ascension.
I love that. I love that. And something you said in a previous podcast was, you know, you, they're in a different level, almost like a dream, like, like a different level of consciousness. If they're in a friend, let's say it's not yourself, let's say it's a friend or a loved one, um, you don't have to go into their dream to fix it. You just have to place a loving hand and be there for them. And I think that's something that we can really do for the people we love that are going through that. Is
Right.
just like what you said earlier. Is just be love, be hold vigil for them, just like you said.
So
So
I'm going to give you a little
that's beautiful.
analogy, Jason. I love using my daughters as an example, so I'll do that again. One night, late at night, she woke up in the middle of the night and all the lights are out, and she had some slippers over there by the closet, and she's just a little girl and she sees that slipper, but what she sees in the darkness is it's a monster. So she screams. She's going, "Oh, help me, help me." Oh my God, she's horrified. There's a monster in her room. And so Dad walks in, and what do? Turn on the light. And what does she see? She sees the truth. It's just a sneaker. It's not a monster. We are light workers. We bring the light of truth to every situation because we're connected with Spirit. The ego personality self is not doing the work. It's us remembering that we have a choice to connect with Spirit and then let Spirit do the work. Let Spirit bring the light of truth and reason to the person because they know, the Spirit knows exactly what that person needs to hear to help shake them out of their fear of the monster in the dark and bring the light to that situation. So our job is to continuously remember, reconnect with Spirit, our soul, and simply ask, how can I be the agent of change? How can I be the agent of love in this situation? And then be quiet and listen and allow then Spirit to be your voice in that situation. And you will be a miracle worker because that's what our soul is. It's a miracle worker and it's ready to go to work.
I love that. That's beautiful, and to be a light worker in any sense, however we're called, is a grateful gift and opportunity. And however you found us today, if you are in despair, if you are hurting and seeking, please reach out to us, because we want to listen, we want to help, we want you to know you're in a community of love, and we know that you are loved. And thank you so much, Brother T. Uh, tell us how people can get in touch with us. Tell us how people can reach out to you and what you have.
Well, you can reach me at Brother T, BROTHERT, at truethought.org. You can go to truethought.org and you can find a donation button there if you want to make a contribution. You can go to love.truethought.org and it'll take you right to that contribution page. You can also join us at truethought.org on our Substack page there, and you can become a paid subscribed member there. It's $7 a month. You can save a little money and get an annual subscription, and you can also be a founding donor and contribute whatever amount you want to over that. Anyway, it's pretty simple, and we're mentioning it often. And I don't want you to get bored with us continuing to do that. I want to just say that those methods are there. So just go to truethought.org and you'll find your way around. We try to make it intuitive and easy for people to participate and to help us. And I'm always glad to answer your emails and to respond to you at brotherT@truethought.org.
Well, thank you, Brother T, for dealing with a difficult subject that I think all of our souls experience. It would be very rare to go through a life experience without having that feeling of despair and disappointment and grief at some point or several points throughout this journey. And thank you for addressing and tackling a difficult question and difficult issues that we face. So next week I'll try and bring up a better subject, or maybe not better is the word, but I'll try and bring up something more happy, something more abundance and joy and love. But thank you so much, Brother T, for your gifts, your wisdom, your enlightenment. And until next week on A Second Coming, catch you next week.
Bye-bye.